Dissidia Final Fantasy has been a beloved franchise for me since its first two games on the PSP, particularly Dissidia Duodecim, which was, by the opinion of many people, including myself, the absolute pinnacle of the franchise. However, when playing the game, it was hard not to think, wouldn't it be cool if they made this as a proper console game with current generation graphics and an actual controller for you to use? In January 2018, this dream would come true, sort of, with the release of Dissidia Final Fantasy NT, a port of the game's arcade version. Although right away fans noticed that there were some pretty drastic changes between this and the original games that they had fell in love with. The turn away from 1v1 battles in favor of chaotic 3v3 battles, and controls that simply felt less intuitive than the original. Combine these with the criticisms of a lack of a proper story mode seen in the first two games, and generally less content overall when compared to them. And the result was a game that many fans found themselves uninterested in. And because of that, today's news is quite grim. Square Enix just announced on a live stream they will be discontinuing support for Dissidia Final Fantasy NT, with the game's main arcade version being due for its last update this week, and the PC and PS4 version receiving their last update on March 5th. This discontinuation means no more characters, skins, balancing, or anything else. The game will remain online for the time being, though they said the servers will not be available forever. From the sounds of it, they will be shutting the servers down in the near future, but they don't give a timeline on when they're going to be doing that. And I know some of you may be ready to actually jump for joy because now Square Enix can move on to the next Dissidia game, but unfortunately that also won't be the case. During the livestream, director Takeo Kujiraoka stated that he didn't want to create any false anticipation and directly said there are no plans at all for a sequel or follow-up to the game, meaning that outside of Dissidia Opera Omnia, the traditional arena fighting game that we know the Dissidia series for is likely to just be outright dead for the foreseeable future. Anytime a director goes out of his way to explicitly note to not get your hopes up about any sort of continuation, it's usually a pretty grim situation. Especially when it's unprompted. It's not an interviewer asking him if he plans to continue the series, but rather him just stating on his own behalf to tell fans to not get their hopes up is pretty grim. It means that talks regarding the future of the series have already been had, and the ones controlling the money probably don't see it going anywhere. And understandably, Dissidia NT sales were just far too weak. It failed to even cross 1 million units. In fact, judging by what sales figures I could find, the game barely managed to push above 400,000 units, which for pretty much any Final Fantasy game is pretty bad, as even some of the series' most lackluster spin-offs can easily break 500,000 in just a matter of weeks. And to put this in perspective, the original Dissidia on PSP managed to reach a sales mark of 1.8 million, Dissidia Duodecim being estimated at around 900,000. To the people greenlighting these games in Square, it looks like it has a 50% drop-off from each previous entry. In other words, while it's not impossible for us to see a new traditional Dissidia game in the future, if I had to make an estimation on the likelihood of that happening anytime soon, it's not impossible, but it is very, very low. Honestly, I can't help but find this so disappointing and saddening. I really love the Dissidia series. I remember sinking dozens of hours into the original game and Duodecim. The possibility that the franchise could be dead outside of Opera Omnia makes me feel pretty bad. I feel so many things could have easily went better for Dissidia NT, had there just not been so many issues. For starters, the game's matchmaking took forever, as so few people were playing. Oftentimes you would literally just match with bots. This also meant that toward the end, you'd match with the same people over and over again. The game's busted netcode, which relied on peer-to-peer connections, also did not help, as whenever you did get a match, the large percentage of matches would just lag incredibly bad, or just be outright unplayable. They also severely underestimated the player's desires for a proper story mode, being one of the biggest criticisms I see from core Final Fantasy fans. And while I thought the 3v3 mode was actually pretty cool, the entire game was strictly balanced around it, pushing the 1v1 combat into obscurity, which you could only do in unranked matches in private lobbies. In my personal view, these are the major contributing factors to the premature death of Dissidia NT. But with that said, Ultima Weapons, I want to know what you think. Are you saddened by the shutdown of Dissidia NT? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you value the content on this channel, be sure to check out the Patreon for the Night Sky prints. Videos like these are helped made possible by people like Lionel Parabo, who directly support the channel. So if these videos mean a lot to you and you want to support the channel directly, there's a link in the description below. Shout out to Lionel and the rest of the Ultima community.
Children of the land, do you hear echoes of truths that once rang clear?